briefings. Today we're going to cover the CDU pre-flight procedure. Normally, the first officer will be doing this while the captain is walking around the aircraft. So let's get right into it. We'll have a look at the FCOM, and the FCOM states that the CDU pre-flight procedure may be accomplished by either the captain or the first officer. These are the steps in the FCOM. We'll break it down into a PowerPoint that's a little easier to look at as we are proceeding with it. Note, once seated, copy the current ATIS as you will require the information for the performance entries later in the procedure. Start the CDU pre-flight procedure anytime after the preliminary pre-flight. The initial data and navigation data entries must be complete before the flight instrument check during the pre-flight procedure. Of course, you need to get an altimeter setting and other things. The performance data entries must be complete before the before start checklist. The captain or the first officer may make CDU entries. However, the other pilot must verify the entries. Enter data in all boxed items on the following CDU pages. Enter data in the dashed items or modify small fonts that are listed in this procedure. Enter or modify other items at pilot's discretion, and I'm going to add as per your company SOPs. Failure to enter en route winds can result in a flight plan time and fuel burn error. So it's very important at least that you get the top of climb wind and temperature inserted before you get airborne. And once you get to top of climb, you can enter the remaining winds for a more accurate fuel over destination in the CDU. Ident page, verify that the model is correct, verify that the engine rating is correct, and verify that the navigation database, that is the effective database, is current. Let's go and do that now. We've got a blown up portion of the CDU on the left side of the screen. Going to the ident, the model, that is correct, the rating 26K, and the nav database that is active, 21st of April to May 18th, 2022. Check. Now, if you notice there's a message in the scratch pad, well, it'll be there until you actually fulfill the entry later in this procedure. Now we'll go to the pause init page and verify that the time is correct, and then we'll enter the present position on the set IRS pause line. Use the most accurate latitude and longitude. Use your GPS if you have it configured on your airplane. Pausing it, and we'll say that this position is the GPS position. So we've entered it, and we've checked the time. The time checked, and we've entered the position. Next, we'll go to the route page, enter the origin, and then we'll enter the route. And then once we've done that, we'll come back and enter the flight number and activate and execute the route. And if you notice, as you learned from your ground school, the bottom right-hand corner will prompt you on the CDU for the next item. So enter the origin, and then we'll go ahead and enter the route. The destination is HEBA, H-E-B-A. And once we've done that, we actually get the point of departure, OMDB, on screen. And if you notice, we're in the plan mode. That's the mode that you should be making the entries in. So in order to get the route, you have to make that selection. And now you can enter the route from the flight plan. Here's a copy of a flight plan off of Dubai runway 30 right, the SEMPA 1F. On this database, effective, it's a SEMPA 2F to SEMPA, then November 571 to Al Bob. So departure off of runway 30 right. And if you notice, the runway is now on the screen. The SEMPA 2 Foxtrot is what we've selected. And if you notice, we have that to SEMPA. So that's why it's important that you follow it in the plan mode. And then back to the route and page 2. And let's go back and confirm that routing. And we are looking at November 571. So November 571 and to Al Bob. We'll just confirm that to make sure that that is correct. To Al Bob, it is, in fact. Now, we're going to save a little time here. That's how you do it, and you follow through on the nav display as we have just shown you here. Let's go and have a look at Al Bob. So as you're loading the route, you can check the points as we are doing here. So we've entered the runway, the departure, and also the airway to the first point on the flight plan. And the way you see me doing it here is how you would do it in the actual procedure in the airplane. So what we'll do here is I'll pause and I'll enter the rest of the route and we'll come back to the next step. We've completed all the entries we executed, and we're just going to go through, step through, so we can have a look to make sure that the tracks and the distances between each point match the flight plan. And that's what we're doing now. So we're going through it a little quickly, but you would go through it each point and check each track and distance that they all concur. And if there are any discontinuities, to ensure that you close the discontinuities. And then we'll check the distance once we do that. So we have a discontinuity here after NOS, so we'll close it and we'll execute it. We can see it on the map here and we'll execute it. Now we've done it, and we're still stepping through, and there is the total route right to the runway. Now we'll have a look at the prog page and look at the distance of 1544. Then we'll go and compare that to the flight plan ground distance, and it checks. So it's important that you check the progress page against the flight plan. especially for gross errors. If it's a few nautical miles different, you know that that's okay. But anything, a large error would mean that you probably put in the incorrect route. So remember now, the person who loads the FMC CDU will follow this procedure. The other pilot, let's say in this case, the captain upon returning to the flight deck, would do exactly the same thing. He would look at the flight plan and go through and step through on the legs page the way we have just completed. Once you're completed, you can go back to the map mode. We just change the map mode to the smallest scale, and the tip of that triangle here, which is the airplane symbol, is our position at Terminal 2. And there is our departure runway. Now selected center, so the center mode, so we have a picture in front and behind us. Follow your company SOPs. So as far as the route is concerned, the loading is complete and it checks OK. Now you'll notice on the CDU that we are now prompted to go ahead in the right-hand corner, the per finet. So we'll do those items. In this case, cost index 24 and the minimum reserves. Now, make sure that you type in all the numbers and let the FMC round it. Zero fuel weight, we're going to go ahead and enter it here. The estimated zero fuel weight. Follow your company procedures. Many companies leave this blank, and upon receipt of the final figures after the operational performance tool has been completed, then at that point, most airlines put in the actual zero fuel weight from the final load figures. Do whatever your company SOPs dictate. And then we'll put in the top of climb altitude, and we find that on the flight plan. I have the flight plan in front of me here. The top of climb altitude is flight level 340, and the wind 274 at 88 knots. Important that you do put the wind in, and either the temperature or the temperature variation, one or the other. We'll put in the temperature variation and execute that. And then to the lower right-hand corner, the N1 limit prompt. Now, at this point, we haven't done the operational performance tool or the performance, so we are going to wait now. So we have completed part 1 of the CDU pre-flight. Part 2 will come after we've completed both parts 1 and part 2 of the OPT, the operational performance tool. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the